okay. That's fine. That's all right. Yeah, no, I'm just having a little bit of trouble with the connection at the moment. I can't see anything on the screen. I think that I'm supposed to be hooking up with him very shortly. Yeah. Look, I know Stuart's not very exciting, but he's okay. Yes. Yeah. 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 No, he's not that dull. He's not that dull. Well, look. Yeah, but Jim, look, I asked 127 professionals, to come on here, and he's the only one that said yes. Yes. Oh, geez, Stuart, is that you? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm on.
Who is this? Sorry, I'm busy. I've got things to do. How you doing, mate?
Right? Yeah, all good.
Dear, what a stressful day. Sorry about that, Stu. I had a little bit of trouble getting online there, but it's all right. It's okay. It's all right.
You seem right, yeah.
This is a new experience for us today, and because we're all sort of locked in, if you want to call it that, I thought this is a great opportunity for some of the lads to ask some questions, and we can have a little bit of fun too. And so we're coming on here. I've just opened the box up. Question box on the left-hand side, which is open to the public, which is good. Okay. So, Stu, I'm just going to go through a couple of wee things with you. And a couple of personal things, actually, but nothing to worry about, Yeah. You're 43 years old, and you won the World Championship in 2015. But you were the oldest first-time winner.
38.
What do you think about that?
It's a bit of an honour, but it may probably. I suppose it is was my name always meant to be on that trophy? Sort of, you look at things like that sometimes, but obviously, like fine wine, as they say, get better with age.
You on the wine already? I've got
already.
Freshly ground coffee, and you're on the vino already at 6 o'clock. And well, I suppose that's all right.
When you got 6 people in the house, you get on it earlier.
Absolutely. Just touching on that there, I can't really remember when you turned professional. I think you won the IBSF world title, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually turned pro in 95.
95. Okay.
I won the English amateur, or at that time it was called the English National, because they let pros in it who were outside the 128. So I think it was the only year it was called the English National, and I won that, which got me to the World Amateur, which was in New Zealand in November 96, and it was obviously called the World Amateur, and I ended up winning it. So many moons ago.
It was indeed. And it's interesting. I know I mentioned your age and what have you. You're 43 now, and you look at, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right.
I looked at it this morning, like when I looked like you, but now I've had a shave. It's took us back.
Well, it's too late. It's too late because everybody, when you joined me this morning for the little video test, everybody knows you're as bad as me anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So yes, sort of thinking back a wee bit, as we're just waiting for some people to join us here, but we when you look at a player's career and you look, from the very first, from the very beginning when they've joined the tour and how long it takes them to actually win their first ranking event, it seems to be very, very staggered for a lot of players, especially players that sort of from your generation. You came in as a tour professional. It took you a long time, really to get. You had that. You beat Hendry, didn't you? In your that wasn't your first Worlds attempt. You beat Stephen Hendry 10-7. What year was that?
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, he won it in 99. He's won his 7th title, and then the year after, I had my first time.
Great win, fantastic win. What are your memories of it?
I remember everyone obviously around me saying like unlucky with the draw and you could have had an easier draw, and I'm like, I had absolutely nothing to lose. I was playing the reigning world champion, the best player ever at that time, and it was just I just had to go out and enjoy myself. It was like as long as I didn't get beat 10-0, it didn't matter. I was meant to lose, and I went out, enjoyed myself, and produced some good snooker.
And yet it took you 11 years to win your first ranking event?
Yeah. I just think with the way the tour was, it was like 6 tournaments at one stage, and my golf handicap was really good. It was down to 5, so I was playing maybe probably more golf than snooker at that time. But obviously Barry Earn come in, put on 20 odd tournaments, and my game seemed to kick on.
Interesting career, you know. As I say, that's the thing that fascinates me about snooker, because you can have young players that join the tour at quite a young age, maybe sometimes in their 20s, struggle quite a bit, fall off the tour, and then get back on the tour again, come back on a lot more mature, and then all of a sudden they start performing, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. I think players, you're probably an example, just like Mark Davis. You sort of find a second wind. You play for so many years, and then you really struggle, or you have a few ups and downs like we all do, and you all of a sudden you find something, and then you start winning titles. Why do you think that is?
What you said on like the first bit, when you said like the new kids come on and they do sort of fall off. I think some of the lads get on and they think they've made it, and they think that it's going to be easy, and then they run into people like Rod Lawler, Fergal O'Brien, the seasoned pros in the first matches, and it's going to be tough. Just to like that, you've got to literally scrape them. I wouldn't like them draws, and I'm obviously a top 16 player, let alone like a lad who's just got on the tour, and I think when they fall off, they realise the hard work they've got to do to stay on and improve. So when they do get on it for the second time, I think they put the effort in what they need to do. And as you say, like obviously people like myself and Mark Davis, I just think with Barry Earn coming on, we're putting on more tournaments. It sort of like you play it like a numbers game. You sort of, if you have one bad week, you can kick on the week after. You don't sort of dwell on it. When there used to be 6 tournaments, you sort of literally 6-7 weeks before tournament, in between tournaments. So you get beat on a bad beat, you've got 6-7 weeks to think about it. Now you've literally got maybe probably 3 or 4 days. So you get back on the practice table, and then before you know it, you're back into play, and you get sharper. Each loss you're getting sharper, and then all of a sudden it'll click and you'll win, and then you can go on a bit of a sort of a riding a wave sort of thing.
And as you say, Barry Hearn he's pumped thousands of bucks into the game, and created massive opportunities for players. I like the format. Personally, I think there's too many professionals, but it doesn't matter what I think. The thing is, he's actually put a lot of money into the game. He's created a lot more opportunity, and you can stay up to a professional just by winning your first couple of matches in that 128 player format. The upside is, the top seeds are seeded. You are seeded. For a time there, I didn't think, but in that first draw, obviously everybody goes in. But no, it's good. It's great. I think he's done incredible things. Everybody hates him. I'm probably the only one that likes him in the whole world.
Well, I can't like him. Yeah. I've only just heard he had a heart attack, didn't he? A minor heart attack.
When was that?
So, I only just heard. So I think it was a couple of days ago. So a little sort of a minor heart attack. So wish him well.
As first I've heard of that. Well, I hope Barry's, as I say, bad enough times as they are. But if he has had a heart attack, I wish him well in hospital. But he's done a fantastic job for the game. I think nobody can dispute that. Everybody has their quarrels about formats and players' value and what have you. But as I say, if you look at the game 20, 30 years ago, you only had a handful of players 30 years ago. Yeah. Top 16 players, the only players who were really making any money. And at that, they weren't making that much. You look at the money in the game now, it's
unbelievable.
Grand Prix money. It's
you got to earn sort of 50 or 60 grand to try and stay on the tour now, haven't you? Over the 2 years. So yeah, it's unbelievable. Like now, it's getting like a proper wage now for the lower ranked players.
And I like the idea of money replacing ranking points. I kind of like that in a strange way. It seems appropriate. I think. What are your views on that?
Yeah, it is what it is. Say I'm on one knees not to complain. Really, just get on with it. And I think, like as you say, it's good. Sometimes you can see what people earn, which I don't know if it's good or bad, but for every pound that counts, it makes it right, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've just had a message through there. Somebody has just informed me that Barry is back home and on the mend. So that's fantastic news.
Yeah, brilliant
that's
news.
Good news there. Got a few wee questions here I've come through. I've just been going through them here. We'll just sort of break and then we'll come back to your profile a wee bit because I like the profile thing. But there's a couple of wee questions that have actually come through there about sight rate. I know it's something you got very, very much involved in. And I'm terrible here writing things down, mate, and chatting away at the same time. But we've got one question here. Let's have a little look here. Pete O'Malley has just asked, do you think sight rate is down to your change of form?
It's hard to answer that. I had loads of things going on. One being Barry Hearn coming into the game, putting loads of tournaments on. At the time, I was getting married, had a kid. There is something in the site, right? It's maybe I just need someone to maybe get me on the table and put me through my paces. My previous coach before, obviously, sight right. I was with him for like literally 10 years. He was like my dad, like my second dad. He was with me literally 24/7. We go golf, we go dinner, and he would tell me 3-4 times a day that I'm a top 5 player in the world. And after a while, you start getting results, you start believing it. Mm-hmm. And he'd be on the table all the time. And that's what happened with sight right. I was doing maybe 2 or 3 sessions a week, and it was just obviously helping out. So I think, to be honest, it maybe could have been anyone, to be fair. But say there is something in it. He maybe puts sort of you through the routines, and you get confident from it. So you start getting results, and then you start believing in your game, and things can go on from there.
Another question here from Paul Ives. It's the same question there. He basically has sight rate changed or improved your game. You've already answered that. He's asked, are you cross dominant?
Cross.
Do you know what that means? You're either left-eyed and right-handed, or you're left-handed and right-eyed.
I'm right-handed, and I'm just inside my right eye, just right-hand side of my nose.
Okay, so which is stronger?
Yeah, my right eye is stronger.
Is it right?
When I get down on a cue, it's literally just off my sort of right dimple on my chin.
And that's something line. You just consciously, are you just consciously aware of that? I mean, is that just something you feel? Because you see a lot of former professionals and current professionals that will get down with a cue under each side of the head, and you're thinking, what the hell's he doing? Is he what?
Yeah, I just think it's something that you've done from day one. You get down on your cue, and I don't think you change that much. You look at people like Gary Wilson on the tour, and he's I think he's that way, and that's how he's seen the shot from day one. You look at Judd, at the way he cues up. He cues up on the left or right hand side, and as he hits a ball, he comes bang in the middle, and that's how he's always done that.
Now, trying to change him, it'd ruin him. It may probably take him years to try and perfect getting back to like what level he is now. So I think things like that, you've done it from day one. I remember being coached by Dale Hill when he said, "Your mum and dad gave you cue action," and that's maybe probably so true in words that you've that first day you've picked up your cue, you very rarely change that cue action unless you really, really work at it or you have a coach from more or less day one. Other than that, you sort of do what you normally do, what you subconsciously do.
I think that's a very good point there. I think that is the fundamentals of a very natural snooker player. I mean, young lads that begin to learn and understand the game develop a cue action of their own. I think every cue action is very, very different.
Definitely.
And that sort of extends itself to, call it whatever you like, natural ability, an ability to learn and develop the game very, very quickly. And you either have that or you don't. If you don't have it, you're not going to develop the game. But if you do, then obviously you become consistent and you score heavy. And that just carries on as it is. Very good question there from Paul and Pete about sight rate. I wouldn't even have thought about asking you anything about sight rate, but as much as I do believe in it, and I've tried it, but it's no good to me because I'm cross-eyed anyway, so the balls go all over the place. So get away from that subject. Let's have a look at some other questions here. Oh, here, something that I touched on here. Question on Matthew. Do you think there's too many professionals on the tour?
Hard one to call. I think people obviously spoke over the years down to 64, but I think there's too many good players to be 64. I think 128's maybe probably a good number to sort of invite new countries in and stuff like that. A lot of people on tour moan, obviously, practice tables at overseas venues. You go to places like China and there's free practice tables, and you turn out a tournament and you can't get a practice time before your game. Sometimes you got to literally, as soon as the practice online sheet opens, you've literally got to book it within the first sort of 3 hours. Otherwise, it's fully booked. So sometimes I've turned up tournaments and you literally can't get a time, and that's like before you play, and that could be 2 days. So you're sort of half hanging around at the hotel outside the practice room to try and get a time. But obviously, like people were saying, 64 at venues or even 32. Sometimes you look at obviously just before Christmas we had qualifiers for the European Masters and Germany, and you had to play 2 matches in each down to 32. Sometimes you obviously get the good players not qualifying, but doing it that way. But it is what it is. Everyone knows the score when you're entering tournaments and you sign up to them. So it is what it is, and
it is what it is. I think that's a good sort of approach to have to it there. I think that when you think back in the days, probably a little bit just before your time, where you had 400 or 500 players going to Blackpool.
Jesus. I think when I turned pro in '95, there was 600. I think.
So there you go. So I mean, if you want to compare those numbers to what's going on now,
yeah.
We obviously we're in a good place, yeah.
Definitely.
Anyway, a couple of wee questions here. Let's see, Williams, Leroy, Danny Williams has asked you, do you practice 8 hours a day? I didn't think
I'm not being funny. Look, there's my table there.
Yep.
And that's been like that since the Blue Ball Challenge.
Wow. Wow. That's
literally
good. That could be a good thing because, this could be the 43-year-old Stuart Bingham comes back and wins a world championship again. Haven't not played for many weeks.
But I'm actually started to. I'm going to start practicing from next week. Try and do like 2 or 3 days through the week. Obviously, you've got nothing to look forward, nothing to practice for at the moment. With the talks of end of July, beginning of August, obviously for the World. So That's what's that? 3 months away. So yeah, we've got nothing to play for. There's no. I had obviously a few exhibitions and things like that to play in through to May and stuff like that, but everything's been cancelled. So yeah, I'm
it's all up in the air.
Yeah.
Colin Smith is just asking me, what age did you know you were good enough to compete?
I didn't start till I was 14. So I remember my first 16 and under tournament in Biggleswade. I remember beating David Gray, my very first match. Didn't know who he was at the time. And I beat him and everyone was like, wow, you're good. And I'm like, wow, who's that? Obviously, I was new onto the scene, so I didn't know anyone. I think when I remember turning pro and I thought I was good, and then you had the likes of David Gray, Paul Hunter, I turned pro with. David Gray was a year before me. Matthew Stevens was a year before me. And you look round and you was all of a sudden like a small fish in a big pond. And then you realised you're not that good, or you know how tough it is. When you're obviously in the local area in Essex, winning all the tournaments and things like that, you sort of think you're really good. And then you say you turn pro, you go to Blackpool, and people ain't got a clue who you are.
All of a sudden, you come down to earth and you go to Blackpool, and you.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I think it was like might have been sort of winning the world amateur. Most probably it also gave me sort of to myself. I know I can win something big. It was obviously a big tournament at the time. You had to sort of win that to get turned pro back in the day. So I think winning that sort of gave me the belief that I could maybe do something in the game.
A friend of mine's just asked, do you remember playing at the Cue Ball Club in Eastbourne, which is closed now?
Yeah, I think so. Eastbourne, was that weren't Hugh Abernethy's club?
I don't know. I've never heard of it, but I'm sure it's very exciting. Martin Stocker, Brighton Snooker Club player. Cue Ball Club in Eastbourne. Yeah. Probably going. Do you remember how long ago it was?
Can't remember yesterday, let alone how many years that was.
Chris Thatcher has asked, do you think there will ever be a breakaway tour like darts?
No. There was talking of China and things like that. Ronnie was obviously, I think, was trying to get involved in something. No one, I don't think, would take it serious. I think everyone knows how good the tour is at the moment, and I think they'd be mad. I think if Ronnie, it'd be the Ronnie tour. It wouldn't be a breakaway tour. It would have been the Ronnie tour, and soon as he had enough, it would have been finished. So, you'd be in no man's land then. So I think like not many people would have done it.
Just brings me on a wee question there when you mentioned Ronnie. I've got two questions here, pretty similar. Does everybody fear Ronnie?
I don't think Judd does, but I'd say 95% of the tour do. I think some of the young players now are sort of not fearing him because they've maybe not seen him when he was at his best. He's still good now, but when in sort of the mid 2000 and 2010 sort of thing, around then he was more or less unstoppable. When he had his head in gear, he was good, and he still is good now. I think if he put his mind to it and practice, people say he don't practice. He practices harder than anyone on tour.
Right.
He does. He's got tables everywhere, and I think he practices 8 hours a day. I think, if not, it's close. Maybe 6 or 7. But to be that good, you've got to practice all this natural ability. Definitely, he's got natural ability, but he practices more than anyone on tour. And I think what's happening now, Judd, like you see him winning all the time, and he's talking about practicing with his brother, having his brother there. He's taking over the realm now. I think.
Very good player, I gather too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
he's had a few maxes. Judd's brother's had a few maxes. So he ain't bad himself.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Got some more questions here. Let's have a little look here. James Winters has asked, what's the best way to strike the cue ball? Punch, roll, strike. What's most consistent? Don't get that.
Punch. I think I used to punch it all the time. Like obviously hit the ball more firm. But I think with the way the tables are now, how quick they are, and I don't think you need to do it. But you look at Judd, he bangs balls in left, right, and centre. So I don't think there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think it's something you've got to practice and try and get consistent at. How long I've been playing, and I still can't be consistently good all the time.
Well, that's a natural thing, isn't it? Whether you punch the ball, what sort of how you play the shot. It's just part of your natural ability to play the shot. It's just instinctive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just the way you play.
Yeah.
So I think of players. I think of very, very good players are decide or try to change their game completely. Bad idea, maybe. What do you think?
Sometimes, you can go maybe back too far and say like the way the tour is, you can easily get on a 3 or 4 or 5 match loss in literally a month and a half. So it can ruin you for the rest of the season. So I think you as you say, you got to be naturally in what you do.
Got a question here from Philip Medcoff. Did you ever think when you were younger, that you would actually win the World Championship?
When you're young and maybe a little bit stupid or a bit naive, I remember turning pro and I want to win the world. I want to be world number 1. And I say when you got to Blackpool and you realise how hard it is, and you look at the top of the table and you had Ronnie, you had Higgins, you had Williams, you had Paul Hunter, you had Hendry still, you had Davis still, you had Ken, you had McManus, you had Ebden, and I'm just reeling them off when I was sort of at pro coming up, and you're thinking it's impossible. Obviously, I was a pro 20 years until I won it. Again, I think with Barry coming in and my confidence won that first ranking tournament, and then my confidence got better and better, and I still pinch myself that I won that one the world championship.
It's quite an achievement, yes, it really is. And you think of all those years or how long it's actually taken you from the day you got on the tour, and I suppose if you believe in yourself and you know you're capable as you were, and who's to say you're not going to do it again? Very, very possible.
Yeah. So the answer was like at the start, I believed I could do it. Halfway through my career, I thought it was too hard, it was impossible, and then coming up to it, I thought I always had a fighting chance because I'm a break builder. So I always knew if it all clicked, then it would click. I knew I had the game, especially my first time there, beating Hendry. I knew then that something special could happen. So I had the game to win something, and luckily for me, it happened.
It's great memories. Question from Leroy Donnie Williams. Do you think that snooker today is harder to play with other players?
I think it's hard, maybe probably to look back how it was, and the way it is today. You've got a lot more. You've got a lot more tournaments. Everyone's good. You have an offish day and you get beat. Where back in the day, I was listening to like Stephen Hendry on Instagram, and he said like literally, you got in the top 16, you have to win 1 or 2 matches to stay in the 16. Now it's literally the way the rankings are, as you say, with the money and that. If you have half a bad season, you could literally drop like anything. You sort of seen it with people like Marco Fu. Andy Hamilton had a good season, got back on the tour, won German, and now all of a sudden he's like near enough off the tour. Martin Gould, great player, he's struggling to stay on the tour, and You have a literally an off patch, and you can just drop like a stone really down the ranking. So,
got a question here from Pat Adams. Pat's the manager of the Brighton club. Remember, you came down, played one of my pro-ams there a couple of years ago. And Pat is asking you, do you spend much time practicing safety? He obviously runs the club, and he's just wondering, do you play a lot of solo, and how much time you'd put in solo?
Obviously having a table at home. I obviously when obviously coronavirus weren't happening, I'd invite sort of Martin O'Donnell, Sean O'Sullivan, Alan Taylor when he was down here, a few others, Zach Shurty, young lad Alex Crenshaw was meant to start coming down. Just to keep it busy. So maybe probably once or twice a week I'd play people, but all the rest of the time I'll be doing solo. I do mainly sort of like frames. I don't really do a lot of routines anymore. Literally for the last year or two, I've been I'll sort of set the pack up as a normal start of a frame, break off, do a few safeties, sort of try and play myself what I'd play in a match, and then obviously if I leave a long red off the break, I'd go for the long red, try and play a proper frame, and playing like if you're out of position, play safe and try and get myself in trouble, then a few safeties, and so I sort of do that mainly now. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'll practice a few safeties here and there, seeing the fine edges. I've just got myself some glasses, so I'm going to give them a try. I'm a bit sort of like short-sighted. I'm all right at obviously 12 foot at the end, but as short-sighted, so I've got some glasses. Have
you tried contact lenses?
I tried literally before the Masters this year. A week before the Masters, I was giving them a go, and one was long-sighted, one was short-sighted, and it was like I was pissed. So I'd get the table, and it'd be fine 1 minute, and then it'd be blurry. I had to end up sort of. I gave them about 3 or 4 days, and then packed them up. So my eyes obviously ain't that bad, because obviously a week later I won the Masters. So
you did, absolutely.
Can't be that bad. Yeah,
no, it can't be that bad at all. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think what your comments there about solo snooker were very, very good. I think a lot of very good players, you know, take on the lineup quite a lot, and I think it's good. It's good, but there's other types of solo snooker you can play. I mean, but just setting a cluster of reds in the middle and playing very natural cannons and cushion shots, and just develop your game that way. That's what it's about for me personally. That's what it's about. I know down the club, I've always said to some of the juniors just to try and play very, very natural cushion cannon shots, develop the reds, and then replay the shot if you miss it over and over again until you get it right. But they don't seem to listen. None of them. It's just like it goes in one ear and out the other, and then it's just like, you know what? The whole point is it's very, very boring. It's very simple. You know, it's not very exciting. But obviously the reality is that it doesn't affect the game. You know.
Yeah, as you say, like everyone does the lineup. The only thing with the lineup, you're playing every shot. It is obviously boring, so you got to try and keep yourself busy. Like take the reds in order, or all blacks, or pinks in. I do sometimes pinks in the middle. So you've got to get positioned to get the pink in the middle, and you can't cannon another red if you're sort of wrong angle on the pink. You start again. You not roll through and cannon a red. You got to start again. That's how I've always done. So
absolutely. I hope some of these wee boys at the club are listening to this. You know, I might be an old thick Irishman, but the man himself has just told you. So just listen, pay attention. Shit. Anyway, right. So some questions here. Somebody else has asked how old you were when you started playing. You've already answered that question. You said you were 14.
Yeah, a month before my 14th. Yeah.
14. I remember I was 14. I had my first relationship. She was 37, but she was gorgeous. She was very tall blonde.
Yeah.
Some more questions. Let's have a look. Oh, nice compliment here from John Wood. He's probably a Basildon lad. Like, tell him he's a good Basildon lad. Winner, chicken dinner. Winner, chicken dinner.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Do you have any pre-match rituals for good luck?
No, I always I always go out, obviously practice beforehand. I'll do maybe probably like a 10-minute practice routine. Set a frame up, open them up, try and make break. Like obviously make a break, then do a few long balls. But few rituals. Maybe probably I used to do whatever colour shirt I had, white or black. I'd have the underwear on.
What?
Black or white.
Really?
Yeah, really. I went for a stage of doing that, but the last few tournaments I didn't do it at the Masters, and it worked. So yeah, that's gone out the window now. So
No, forget about that, mate. Don't eat that. Oh, that's a load of. I ain't going to go there. I'm going to start swearing live. Right, okay, let's get over here. We got great feedback. Thank you very much. Oh, here, Martin Stocker again. Do you have a bogey player?
I think everyone bogey players, maybe probably Ronnie. I can't think. I think I've beat him 3, 4, 5 times in 20. So yeah, you got to be on top form to beat him. You got to be on your game. Higgins, maybe probably at the moment. I thought I had a good chance of beating him at the UK. I thought I was playing well and just couldn't play well against him. Can't play well against him at the moment. So maybe probably at the moment. But you're talking on best players of the world. Best players who've picked their cues, like whoever's picked the cue up. So it's tough. Obviously, you look up to them growing up, so you put them on a bit of a pedestal. So mentally, that's maybe probably something you got to break down. You just got to play the balls. So
Jerry Murphy, an old friend of mine, good snooker player. Or he used to be anyway. He's not quite as exciting as yourself. But anyway, Jerry is asking. A good question actually. So much choice and tips. What are the pros mainly going for these days? Soft, medium, or hard? And what determines your choice in a tip?
There's so many. Yeah, good question. There's so many tips. I think Judd, Ronnie, I think Selby uses Elks. I think Higgins uses like a Kamui, like the American pool tips. I think Mark Williams is just trying the Legends tip, the like new really hard tip. It's literally like granite. I've just found out. I went to Dave Coops after they qualified for Christmas, and he put a new tip on for me. It's called a Zan. It's like a Japanese Zan tip. Mm-hmm. And normally I literally play about 5 or 6 shots and then rip them off. And I played literally a day with it, and I was like, I like this. It weren't throwing off. It's gripping really good. So and that's obviously stayed on my tips my cue since then. So yeah, a lot of people. I went back to Elkmaster mainly all the time, but looks like I'm going to stay with his Zan tip for now. So
remember the old blue diamonds, Stu?
No, I think Ding. I think Ding plays with a blue diamond.
Who?
Ding.
Okay.
I think a few of the Chinese play it. I think it's big over there. Is it a Blue Diamond Plus or something like that? I think it's just, again, it's what's the word? Preferential choice.
It's a preference.
The wine's talking now. The wine's talking.
It depends on personal preference.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yes, Jerry was just asking there, this business of having a dome, the flush, or an overhanging tip. Have you tried the various types?
Yeah, I'll stick with a flush tip. I've tried the mushroom, but used to overhang, and then where you're hitting it on the same spot, then you can start taking chunks out of it. So I've always done it flushed, and I've miscued loads of times and never took a chunk out out my tip, touch wood. Mm-hmm. So I've always stuck with it that way. Again, it's preference, own preference.
Jason Pagram's just asking, have you locked Michelle in the shed yet?
I've tried. I'm trying to bury her under that new swimming pool I've got.
There's a friend of mine called Dave Morgan, very good snooker player from this neck of the woods, actually, in this Brighton area, mid-Sussex area. He was mates with your friend Pete Ward when he was in Horsham. And he was telling him about playing you in a league and your own form suddenly shot through the roof. Do you remember that? Those days? Horsham?
Horsham. Yeah, I remember my mate Pete. He was a manager at the club down there. What was the question? What my form went through the roof?
He was telling Dave, your his friend was just telling Dave he was playing with you in the league, and you suddenly you just came to form. You really started playing very, very well.
Right. Back in them days, it was obviously all good in the leagues and that. I remember Monday Night League, he was playing 2 frames. I remember a couple of times I made like back-to-back hundreds and things like that against like obviously just a club player. Some of the times I got a bad comment saying, "What's the point of you playing in this? I just want a night out." By some people, and other people was like, "Brilliant! It's so good to watch." So I think it was just like you say, it was a bit of a YTS. It was a bit of a learning curve, sort of playing in the clubs and playing different people, and obviously just obviously going through the leagues, and it helps you with your game.
Oh yeah, another question here. What do you think of the Tam chalk? Do you like it?
I do like it. There's definitely some science to it. It sort of stops the kicks. It stops the bounces. Obviously, with this new tip I've got on it, it's a layered tip, and for some reason the chalk ain't sticking that well. I had it obviously at the Masters.
Texture, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's very like gritty, yeah. So it seems as good as it wipes on, stays on. The next time you chalk it, could wipe it off. So again, my first match in the Masters, I was playing Mark Williams, and literally the day before I miscued about 3 or 4 times practicing, and I took a bit of Masters chalk with me, and I miscued once against Mark Williams, say in the first round of the Masters, and I changed to the Master chalk, and obviously I had a few kicks and a few bounces, but I knew I weren't going to miscue, so I've been chopping and changing practice on my table. It definitely it keeps the table cleaner. There's no chalk marks.
I agree with you there. I agree with you. It certainly keeps a cleaner table. I mean, I went back to green chalk, and I think a lot of top professionals have too. But
yeah,
it's just it's a preference. You try it out.
Yeah.
It's
definitely good. The company's good.
A question here: What club did you play in before becoming a pro? Question from Lee Henderson.
I started off in. It's more or less always in Basildon. I started off in Stacey's Corner, the Commodore, opposite Basketball School. From there, I went to Leon C, working with Vic Harris. And then with Vic Harris, he told me to go to Joe Lazarus in Basildon. And I was there for a good 10, 12 years, maybe probably a bit more. There I went back to Leon C for a couple of years, and then went to the Cue Ball in Basildon. Went to Rayleigh Lanes in Rayleigh, which ain't far, and then from Rayleigh I've got obviously my table here. So a few clubs in the area, but all good.
Nice wee bit of background there. Who do you believe is the most promising up and coming player on the circuit at the moment? It's a question from Joe Pettigrew. Good question.
I think it's quite hard to say. Obviously, there's so many Chinese players that are coming through.
Zhao Xingtong. He definitely looks the part. Don't know if he's a bit too raw. He started to win. Obviously, Zhu Yilong got to a final, but obviously got hammered to Neil Robertson. You got a young lad from. He got to the final of the. Was it the World Federation Championships? No, the ISF. The young. Is he No, I don't think he's Belgium. He's about 14, 15. He beat
Chinese
Sean No. He's European.
European lad. God! If anybody remembers his name, type it in the box, guys. If any of you remember that kid's name, I think he's very, 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 very talented wee fella.
He beat Sean O'Sullivan 3-0 in literally about 35 minutes. Like literally just blitzed him. Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Xingtong. That would have been my answer. He's a very erratic player. He does take a lot of balls on, but you can see very clearly the talent in the man. You know, he's very, very talented. He's very young, and I think with a little bit of experience, and you know, he looks as if he's got a wee bit of a temper on him as well. I mean, who doesn't? But I think if he brushes off those little problems, I think he'd be a very, very difficult player to beat. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. I think if he sometimes bite his lip on a few things, he could definitely race up the rankings and be contender for a lot of tournaments, I think.
Here's a question from on Messenger here. As a young player, who inspired you the most?
Good one. My hero growing up was Steve Davis. Back in the day, a lot of people wouldn't even remember Steve Davis. But obviously Jimmy White as well. Obviously then turning pro, and you had obviously Ronnie, John Higgins, Mark Williams, obviously the Hendry even. I always thought he'd be without a doubt the best player ever. Obviously Ronnie's now I think surpassed him. It's sort of definitely Steve Davis growing up before even now I still look at him and think he's God, and obviously he's a good friend, so I still sort of see it, and I still sort of pinch myself that thinking actually talking to Steve Davis here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he probably thinks he's God too. Right, let's have a wee look here at some more questions. Tom Chubb, Jeremy, thank you for the answers. What is your favourite moment in your snooker career so far? Well, I think I know the answer to that, but go ahead.
Yeah. Without a doubt, the World Championships. There's obviously a few, obviously working up again, starting from winning the English Amateur, big tournament back in the day, getting my hands on that, and then the World Amateur. Then probably my first ranking event, Australia, and then obviously the big one, the World Championships.
I mean, you must have. Goodness me! Did you get emotional? Did you shed a wee tear?
When I won, what one?
The Worlds.
I was actually all right. Obviously, see me sort of cry the first beating Ronnie. Everyone thought I cried after beating Ronnie, but it was more getting to the one table setup. And then obviously, beating Judd the way I did, thought I was going to get beat and pulled out a good last frame. That was very emotional. Being in the world final, and then when I won it, I was actually quite calm. Obviously, I watch it back now, and sometimes I well up. Like I say, can't believe I won it. Obviously, a couple of months ago, winning the Masters, bawled my eyes out on like I was even the last few balls. When I got over the line in the last frame, I was welling up at the table. Sort of, I was like, I remembered being so knackered, and just the emotions were just pouring out. So
sort of good times.
One question just coming through here. Do you do any coaching at all?
I've tried it once, but what I was trying to tell someone, I try to do on the table next time I played, and it would do me head in.
Yeah,
obviously I play a bit naturally, and you just unconsciously do it all. And when you actually try and tell someone how you're playing a shot, it seems to screw my head up. So I'd say I've done one lesson, and I ain't tried it since.
It's not an easy game to demonstrate, Stuart, to anybody in any capacity, because it's a very, very difficult game, and it's a game that messes with your head. So bad enough playing it without showing somebody else what to do, eh?
Definitely.
Anyway, here we go. We got a lot of hellos here, and that's okay. Who's your best mate on the circuit? Better be careful with this one.
Yeah. I know there's about 4 or 5 that ain't, but I don't know. Maybe probably I play a bit of golf with Mark Davis.
Yep.
Obviously, the wives are good friends, so I get on mostly with a lot of people. Michael Holt, always
two good lads.
So you got obviously locally, you got Matt Selt, bit of Marmite. Some people love him, some people hate him. Mark King, sort of grown up with him. So yeah, there's a few, obviously loads I get on with, and only very few I don't. So yeah.
Question from Darren Mills: how many hours do you practice leading up to a tournament?
Coming, obviously, say like definitely, I'll not take a day off playing 2 or 3 weeks before a tournament. Maybe probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I may probably get to playing. Obviously, on my own, when I do solo, 3 to 4 to 5 hours. Obviously, say fortunate, I've got a table at home, so I can come down at 10 o'clock, go and have some lunch at 1, and then come back for another few hours. So yeah, may probably do sort of 4 or 5 solo, and playing people. I may probably play 2 or 3 sets in a day, so like 2 or 3 best of 7s or best of 9s.
That's all right. You've answered 3 questions in one hit there. Lester Grace. Hi, Dave Stewart. Rest or stretch?
All depends on the situation.
Well, I love the rest. I'm very good with the rest. I mean, I prefer the rest. I'd rather not stretch, but some players don't like the rest. What do you like?
Yeah. I've always been pretty good with the rest. Literally the last year or 2, I've actually been a bit dodgy with the rest. So I'll still maybe play more with the rest than stretch. Yeah.
I'm better with the rest because naturally when I try and play the shot, I miss them. Whereas I don't move and I'm holding them down with the rest. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's go on here. Question for Stuart. Where's you want to be a professional player? Oh, well, we answered that one earlier. Apart from 2000, what else is that there? What would you like to do next, Stuart? What would you like to win next? What would you like to win next?
It's only got to be one answer there. The UK.
The UK? Why is that more prestigious than the others? Why?
That Triple Crown.
Okay. All right.
It's only got to be one answer there, yeah.
But you're not rather go out and win about 300 grand? I mean...
yeah, obviously Saudi would be a good one to win. I think any tournament, I don't care what the prize money is. I think any tournament you win is going to be tough. So any tournament to win is a good win, I think.
Here's a nice question from Marcel Kiwilovich. I'm very good at that language, as you can tell, by the way. And he's asking, you stated at the age of 14, how long did it take you to make your first century?
I think it took me about 18 months. I remember I had one lesson and I made a 53. I remember clearing up the last 4 reds and the colours, and then didn't do nothing for literally about a year. And then I remember making sort of 70 odd, and then 104 was my first 100. I used to write it down in the book. I think my mum and dad still got the book. My first sort of 30 or 40 hundreds I ever done. I remember writing it all down, what the break was, where it was, what table it was on, who it was against. And I think, my mum and dad still got the book somewhere.
Interesting. Let's have a look down here. Getting a lot of thank yous. You seem to be more popular than me. I don't get that. I don't understand that there. I don't know why. I mean, I know you're exciting and all that. But I don't know why you're getting.
What was all that phone call about being dull?
Sorry?
What was that phone call being dull and all that?
Well, that wasn't me. That was someone else. So I obviously, look, you've obviously seen something at the beginning of this video that you weren't meant to see. So there's no need to go into it now. You're getting on my nerves, Stuart. I'll have to cut you off. So shut up and answer the questions. What is your favorite country to visit? There's a good question.
That is a good one. I actually don't mind China. Obviously, spending a lot of time out there. I know people might think. I know with what's going on in the world and all that, but I actually quite enjoy the food. I'm one of these. I would try anything. I'm not sure at the moment with a bat suit, but I might give that a miss. But yeah, I'll try a lot, and it's all freshly cooked. It's all steamed, so it's actually quite healthy. But I've met so many nice.
District.
What's that?
Goodness sake! Nice walk in Cumbria somewhere, or Wales, and stay in the United Kingdom and enjoy this beautiful country that we have here. We
are planning this year to go on holiday over here. So I think we're going to try and go down to Cornwall for a long weekend or a week, and go to Lake District. So we're going to do that a bit more this year. Part of the
country, I could live out there. A couple of interesting questions here. I think I've just missed them actually. Did you play pool? I gather you were a good pool player. And do you remember playing black ball pool? I don't know anything about your pool. Did you play pool?
I played in the. I was at Barnstable School in Basildon, and we had a youth club, and I won a few pool tournaments. But I don't know if that was after I started playing snooker or before. It was, say, many moons ago. So that's literally the only pool I've played. I remember being at Basildon Snooker Club, and we had a bowling alley opposite open up, and they had a pool tournament. And there was me and this other lad, Daniel Piper, when we was about 16, 17. And they wouldn't let us in because we was too good. 1 week, for some reason, they let us in, and me and Daniel Piper got to the final. So they had a bit of a moan up, so we weren't now back in it again. And that's literally about as much pool as I ever done. Last time I played pool, I'd done a charity thing for breast cancer in my local ASDA, and I played for 3 hours. It was about 10 days before the qualifiers for the Crucible, and I played for 3 hours on the pool table, and it totally ruined my game. So I said I'll never play pool while I'm practicing or involved in a snooker season. And that's
quite often very good pool players often tell me that they're just bad snooker players.
Yeah. How many times, obviously, the banter goes on with the pool players trying to get involved. Like you got George Tierney, the real number one. He tries to get involved, and he's good all banter. And
some player.
Yeah, he's superb banter. But yeah, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of prize money they play for sometimes. There's obviously a few young lads that I've grown up with who have gone on to pool. Rob Donkin, he's pretty good. He's doing all right, I think, on the pool tour.
What football team do you support?
If any. Well, I'll start the story. My dad's a Man United fan. My brother was an Arsenal fan. So who was winning all the time when I was growing up? Liverpool.
Liverpool.
So
we have something in common. Only I'm a little bit more exciting than you, but that's all right.
Yeah.
You're actually getting better after this interview. You're gonna rocket. You're gonna rocket sky high.
Yeah. But I did when I won the world title. I did show me trophy off at Roots Hall at Southend. So obviously that's my local team, Southend United.
Oh, here's a question here. Do you think Ronnie has improved with age?
I think so. I think he's matured, definitely matured. He's definitely still hard to beat. I think he's definitely harder to beat. I think he used to give up pretty easily if it weren't going his way. Back when he was in his prime, but I think he's a bit more patient with his game. I think this season he ain't really shown it. I think he's just tried to pot everything and just play. But when he puts his head to it, he's good.
I think Ronnie's probably the best illustration of how much the game can affect you psychologically. I think with him he is. I can see a terrible impatience in him with the game. I think he's been playing it for so long, and he's well. I mean, can you win any more than he's won? You know, and I think that a lot of players are never going to be able to achieve what he's achieved. But I think he's getting a bit tired. He's probably getting a wee bit bored. That's the impression I get. And I think we don't want him to fall out with the game because he's such a very interesting player to watch. You know, I struggle to watch the game, Stu. I don't know about you. I struggle to watch snooker and enjoy it.
I still love it.
You know, I love playing it and I love the banter. Some of the lads down the Brighton club, we, have a few drinks. We're not really, doesn't really matter who wins, but there's just a nice bit of banter and what have you.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question from a non-snooker player, and I know he's a non-snooker player because he can't putt for shit. But he says, do you undertake any physical exercise? And is it important to have an overall high level of physical fitness to play snooker?
As you can see, definitely not. But this is what's happened. You can see in the background.
Yes. Ah. What is that? Is that a cross trainer? What the hell is that thing? Is it a running machine?
The running machine.
Right.
Oh,
okay.
That took the main place in the snooker room at the moment.
I've got a feeling you're not using that thing as much as you should. You know?
Definitely.
And if you did,
you know me too well.
If you start using that thing as much as you should, you'll end up looking like this. Okay?
Yeah. What ball and grey?
Big arms, 52 years old. And I can outrun any woman on the planet. I just say that.
Who are you trying to kid? 52.
All right. Let's see what shape you're in, mate, when you're 52. All right. Now put it away. You're going to put people off their tea. Oh, right. Okay. How old are the kids, Stu? Is any of them playing any snooker? Are they interested?
My boy, he's 8. He comes down when I'm practicing, and he has a sort of frame of snooker on his own. Sometimes he enjoys it, sometimes he don't. So it's one of those. My dad never pressurised me in anything, so I'm not. If he wants to, he's got a nice cue from John Paris that John Paris made him, a replica of my World Championship win cue. And he plays with it every now and then, but he's just found Fortnite on the PlayStation, so you just can't get him off throughout the whole day. It's hard enough getting him to try and do some school, like homeschooling, at the moment with like being off. But he sort of does. He obviously got him like a football net and all that out there, so he does enjoy a bit of sport. But he's not really showing much interest at the moment. My daughter, she's 3 years old, obviously too young. She helps me pick out the ball sometimes, messing about on the practice table when the missus pops out. So she helps me out, but.
I think that's a massive thing. I mean, I don't know whether a lot of professionals do this or have someone come and spot balls for them. I think it can help. Do you think that's something that could help? I mean, solo practice is one thing, but having somebody in the room, maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You got to get on with them in the first place. Obviously, I do most of it on my own. I've had my old coach Joe Lasworth pick balls out, but sometimes he gets involved, tries to tell me to do this, tell me to do that. But other than that, I sort of talked to Jimmy White, and he said you've got to get someone picking the balls out. He said it's so much better. Say we're talking about Judd with his brother Jack. He's helping him out. I think Ronnie. I think he always has someone helping him out. But
does he?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I think it's got to help. I think it's got to help having someone. You can maybe put a bit more. You can get in a rhythm. You can get what you do in a game and stuff like that. When you're picking your own balls out, you sort of stopping, breaking, and stuff like that.
Slightly distracting. Whereas if you're, at your level when you're on the table, momentum, flow, is better without the slight distraction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What is your most memorable shot, if you have one? There's a good.
Don't know. I'd say the plant against Judd.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, one shot that it was risky as anything, and it went in and changed my life. Definitely, probably that shot.
I remember I would never remember a shot, but I would remember like a really good clearance. You all hit big breaks and what have you, but do you remember any really good clearances? I mean, even if it's just a 70 or an 80 break, it was very difficult. I mean, would you remember something like that?
Not one that sticks out in my mind. Obviously, I've maybe made a few to win matches and things like that. But yeah, not one really sticks out. Obviously, potting the red to win the World Championships. Bridging over the blue with an extension on the cue. Obviously, remember things like that. But other than that, I think it's only them two shots that I can really think of.
Ben Dane doesn't think you're using that running machine, so I think he's going to put an offer in for it.
Yeah, go for it, yeah. Come on, give me a break.
Look, I can't. Listen, it's very difficult to keep some sort of level of fitness. I think in all fairness to us, Stu, I think if you were to count our steps walking around the snooker table, thousands and thousands of steps walking around a snooker table. And I don't think people appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll say that. I'll say to my missus every day that she sort of does, 10,000 steps a day and on a Keep Fit watch or whatever. And she's like, oh, I said, I maybe do double that round the table. She's like, oh, shut up. All you do is sit down, have a cup of tea. And
God, good. I'm trying to open up some of these bloody questions on Messenger here. I'll get better at this. I'm sure I will. Let's have a look here. Peter O'Malley's asking, do you think you can still improve?
I think someone wrote the other day that are you bored? You can't learn anymore. I think you learn every day. Is it phone a friend?
Hey?
Is it phone a friend? Phone a friend, is it?
Oh, it's just think that's a simple answer to that one. You know, I think you always improve.
Yeah, you're always learning the games. Some days you're sort of timing it well. Next day, just you could be a fraction out, and something else, or you'll get a bit of time in from somewhere. So I think you're always learning.
No, absolutely. Look at some of these other questions here. What the hell is this here from Passion? Oh, yes, about the tables. Got a question here on Messenger about the snooker tables. Do you think it's time for a change? And what do you think of the Racing tables? Interesting question.
Yeah. The Racing tables, obviously we play at the Championship League and the Champions of Champions. I think they look nice. But talking to the table fitters, when they come in, when they get delivered, the pockets are literally like that, and they've got to build it up, so they're obviously smaller. Right. So I don't know how really good they are. I think the start tables, I think we're on something like Mark 25. Since the very first star table coming out, we're on a 25th level of it.
Wow.
I think they're getting close to really good. But how many tournaments we played throughout the year? I think there's something like 50 tables on tour. So one tournament they'll play really tight, and the next tournament they'll play a little bit generous. So it's hard to be very consistent with it all. Looking this, I had obviously a Riley Silver Leg. They was a good table. Jason Pegram got his club. It just feels like they're cut a little bit different. Obviously, the star tables, what we're playing on, I think they're pretty good. On tour, the middle pockets are really tight. I think they're getting pretty good now.
I think it's going to be very difficult to compete with Star.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a big enough company. I like Riley tables, but they were the foundations, I think. Here. Well, I wouldn't have asked you this, by the way, but I think you played my buddy Jordan there recently.
Yeah.
Commiserations. But anyway,
I thought you were talking about the one in Northern Ireland.
Jordan Brown.
In Northern Ireland.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you make of the match? What do you think of him?
He's good. Obviously, he wins the tournament over in Ireland all the time. The pro-am they do over there. He's the same sort of thing. He's been on the tour a few years. He's got to learn, and I think his game's just getting stronger and stronger. He's a great lad, and he's definitely improving. I think every year.
I think that's it. I mean, I suppose you could say he didn't start off very well, but a second season, he's starting to start beating top 16 players. It gives you a lot of confidence. And when he's really rolling, he scores heavy. He's a heavy scorer. He's a big break hitter. Very, very dangerous. Tiny wee things that break it down. But I think, hopefully this time around he will improve. I think he's got a lot of potential.
He's got some good company. He's obviously practicing with Mark Allen.
Mark. Well, you can't think of a better practice partner really than Mark.
Exactly. Yeah. To have them people around you, and you're always going to learn, and you're always going to improve.
They've known each other for years. They're both Antrim lads. Yeah. And there's many other good Irish players over there they practice with. Michael Giorgio's just moved over to Antrim there.
Yeah. It's good for everyone, I think.
Nice setup there in that little snooker club in Antrim. Very, very good. Questions. Do you think the World Championship will take place this year?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I don't know if it'll be held with people watching. They're talking about having it held, obviously, behind closed doors. I don't know how that will turn out. Obviously, we played a Championship League And I don't know how good that'll be.
That's not going to work.
No, I think the World Championship needs to be played in front of the crowd at the Crucible Theatre. So I don't know, unless this obviously virus does sort of get sorted out pretty soon. I'm not sure. I think Barry wants it sort of played, and if it does, it's going to be behind closed doors, which maybe ain't going to be great.
Oh, Jimmy Robertson has just outbid Ben Dane on your running machine. Jimmy, it's on its way to you.
Jimmy needs to get on it, to be fair. He's started to
pound. Yes. It's a couple of fit lads, tell you.
Yeah.
They used to be anyway. Question. Getting a couple of very stupid questions in here, actually. I'm not going to... Okay, here's a question from Wade Langston. He's asking, do you think the pandemic will have an effect on world snooker long term?
I think it'll take its toll for next season, but then I think it'll be back to normal. I think they'll probably try and squeeze everything in as much as they can. Obviously, with everything being put back, normally September we're going to China to play like the Shanghai Masters. Obviously, places like Guangzhou and Daqing. I'm not sure that'll be. I don't know if we'll be playing in China this year. I think the Chinese are proper on lockdown. No foreigners coming in. Last time I heard, but and that's a big sort of cut to our tour. It's probably a third or a quarter of the tour over there. So and it's all tournaments are big prize money. So I think World Snooker. I think World Snooker will try and squeeze everything in as much as they can.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them, I think, and quite sympathetic in a way, because the situation will probably never arise again. Never again you'll have this. So
not in our lifetime, sort of thing.
No, absolutely not. You know, you live through wars, and then you live through things like this, and you can't plan or perceive anything. You know, I think the guys have just got to sit down and do the best that they can do. They can do no more. Get criticisms for this and for that. At the end of the day, they have to do whatever they think's best for the business and best for the players. And it means just holding everything off until such a time and a place that they can start everything up again, then that's the way it's going to have to be. Question here from Stuart: if you weren't playing snooker, what would you be doing?
Good question. I was always good at sport growing up. I got to county level at squash before I took snooker up.
Oh.
I got to a 5 handicap at golfer.
Wow.
I was obviously playing football for teams and basketball at school and cricket. So, but I'm a bit of a gadget. I'm a bit like on tour. Everyone asks me if they need to download an app or work out their phone. They're always coming to me. So I was always good at computers and sort of things like that. So I would have made.
Well, you weren't any good to me when I had my software problems earlier.
We got on it. We got speaking, didn't we?
You were as helpful as a hole in the head. You didn't offer me any advice on how to put this. I had to work all this stuff out by myself.
Well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, can you?
I called a professional filmmaker, a photographer, and a film editor. Okay, all three of them didn't have a clue on how to set this up. And all of a sudden, I go on YouTube and I find this, Be Live software that you go into, sign in through Facebook, and all of a sudden you can have a split screen interview. What's the matter with these people? Honestly, it's getting a bit dark now. Let's see what else we've got here. Questions. What is your best form of practice to sharpen up your game?
That's a good one. I would say playing people. I think you can do as many hours under the sun solo, but you always think you're hitting the ball well until you play someone and you miss and they clear up. Then you tighten up your game. So I always think match practice is the best you can get. I think. So I do try and play. What's happened? You still there? Hello?
We're back now.
What happened there?
Yeah, well, the audience were getting a wee bit fed up with you there, Stu. So the software, you're doing too much talking. So they went and put the kettle on and cut us off just for 25 seconds.
Yeah. Did it go in sleep mode?
Right, okay. Bloody hell, I'll tell you what, Stu, we're only meant to be on for about an hour.
Wow.
This is ridiculous, I'll tell you what, we've been on about 80 minutes, and that's about nearly the running time of a movie, isn't it? But I think it's been absolutely fantastic, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. And I'm sure we'll have you on again, maybe in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
And we can talk about something else. Maybe.
About
what?
About killing the wife.
Yes. That's great. But this is a fantastic start to this little idea, just to kill a bit of time, mate. And I think we've had some nice reactions there on the channel, and we've had a few people on there too. But the lads have been very, very good with their questions, and there are a couple more, but you answered most of them. Anyway, so listen, guys, everybody, thanks very much for joining the live chat, and thanks very much to Stuart. And we're going to do this again next week. And I'm not going to tell you who's on next week. I've asked him, and he's going to come back to me. But he's a big, big name. Maybe not quite as big as Mr. Exciting here over my, I'd say, but he's okay. They're never very exciting on here, but they do the best that they can do. But anyway, that's it for now. And we'll see you all again soon. Be safe, everybody.
Cheers.